The year his father's company was teetering on the brink of bankruptcy, Ethan Miller was sent to the side of the wealthiest family's only daughter, Olivia Hayes. Olivia was 3 years his junior, born with a silver spoon in her mouth, and possessed a beauty that was almost unreal. At first, he was her playmate, accompanying her through video games, skipping school, and late-night movies in her private home theater. Later, he became her executive assistant and lover. The floor-to-ceiling windows of her office, the lavatory of her private jet, the deck of their yacht, they'd shared countless reckless days and nights. Until the day he saw the flight information for Noah Evans, her old flame, the one that got away, on her phone. That night, she'd seemed to melt beneath him, a torrent of passion, clinging to him, wanting him again and again, nearly 10 times. In that moment, he understood. It was time for him to bow out gracefully. Ethan, Noah's back in the city today. Olivia, utterly satisfied, wrapped her arms around him from behind, her chin resting on his shoulder, her breath still warm and moist from their lovemaking. I still can't forget him. His back to her, Ethan buttoned his shirt. His fingers were steady, not a tremor. Understand. I'll pack my things and be gone shortly. I'll delete my biometrics from the system too. She chuckled, her lips brushing the skin behind his ear, as intimate as every other time after they'd made love. I adore how you're always so understanding, Ethan, knowing just when to step up and when to step back. Don't worry, I'll give your family's company a little extra help. How about an initial investment of $1 billion this time? He forced a slight smile. Thank you. What's with the thank you between us? She kissed his earlobe, her voice syrupy, almost a purr. You grew up with me, Ethan. I could lose anyone, but not you. It's just the playmate part that's ending. You'll still be my assistant, and I'll look out for your family. Forever. That won't be necessary. He fastened the last button of his shirt and turned to face her. I've decided to leave. Before he could finish, her phone rang. Olivia, your old flame is back. He's having a welcome home party at Nightscape. You coming? It was her best friend's excited voice on the other end. Olivia's eyes lit up. She jumped out of bed. Absolutely. Hanging up, she hurriedly threw on a jacket, pecking him on the lips. Ethan, darling, take care of things here, will you? I trust you with everything. He murmured, The moment the door clicked shut, he stood motionless, staring at the rumpled sheets, still marked with the lingering traces of their intimacy. He expertly stripped the bed, tossed the sheets into the washing machine, then picked up the scattered clothes, hanging each piece meticulously before finally packing his own belongings. Clothes, toiletries, a few well-read books. He had lived here for 3 years, yet all his possessions fit into one small suitcase. As he was deleting his fingerprint access from the door lock, his father called. Ethan. His father's voice quivered with excitement. What did you do to get Olivia Hayes to invest this time? She actually put in $1 billion. This is the last time, Ethan said, standing at the mansion's entrance, his voice calm. She won't be investing any more money after this. A second of silence, then his father's voice, tight with suppressed anger. What do you mean by that? Then, as if understanding dawned, he quickly added, I get it. You heard Noah Evans is back, didn't you? Don't worry. You've been by Olivia's side for so many years, she can't live without you. So what if he's back? You just keep being her assistant, and the benefits will keep rolling in. I forgot to tell you, Ethan interrupted. I'm planning on leaving. You dare, his father roared. Don't forget your mother. Ethan laughed, his tone laced with sarcasm. Did you forget? My mother passed away a week ago. You've used my mother to threaten me for 12 years. Now, you can't threaten me anymore. I have to leave Olivia Hayes. I've had enough of this life. You'd better not come looking for me again. Otherwise, I can make you find a way to cough up all the money from these past years. With that, he hung up, blocked all of his father's contact numbers, hailed an Uber, and returned to his own apartment. The city lights outside the car window blurred into a smear. He closed his eyes, exhausted, and for a moment he was 15 again. The Miller family company was on the verge of collapse. His father, using his mother's mounting medical bills as leverage, had forced him to get close to Olivia Hayes, the golden girl of New York City, the sole heiress to a fortune. So he'd orchestrated a hero saves the damsel scenario and became her companion. During the countless days they spent growing up together, she would duck under his umbrella on rainy days, calling out Ethan in a rain-soaked voice. She would bury her face in his lap, feigning misery when she failed an exam. And when his father's company faced a cash flow crisis, she would casually say, How much do you need? I'll have my dad wire it over. Later, she grew up, and her heart fluttered for the first time for Noah Evans. She'd anxiously asked him, Ethan, tell me, if I confess and he rejects me, will we not even be able to be friends anymore? He knew then. She was hopelessly in love with Noah. It was precisely because of this fear of loss this terror of rejection, that she'd hesitated to confess, watching helplessly as Noah went through girlfriend after girlfriend, eventually leaving the country. During that period, Olivia drank herself into a stupor almost daily, until one night, mistaking Ethan for Noah, she fell into bed with him. When she was on top of him, her breath reeked of alcohol. Waking up the next morning, she'd snuggled against him, cooing, "Ethan, you were amazing. Last night with you, I forgot all my pain from these past few months." She nuzzled his neck. "Ethan, help me get over him, okay?" And so, he helped her for 3 years. Everyone thought he was madly in love with her, but no one knew the truth. He didn't like Olivia Hayes. He had no interest in that kind of entanglement. This calculated selling of himself, every day of it, had been torture. Now, his mother was gone. Amidst the pain, there was a sliver of relief. His mother's last gift of love to Ethan Miller was finally allowing him to be himself, without reservation. The next day, his first order of business at the office was to submit his resignation. His colleague in HR stared at him in shock. "Ethan, you're resigning?" "Does Ms. Hayes know?" He smiled. "Isn't resigning a perfectly normal thing to do?" "But, Ms. Hayes can't function without you. No one is indispensable." He pushed the resignation form across the desk. "Go get her approval." Before the end of the workday, the HR colleague cautiously called him over. "Ms. Hayes has approved it." He hesitated, then added, "It's just..." "She didn't seem to notice it was your resignation." "Should I tell her?" Ethan Miller just smiled faintly. "No need to tell her specifically. Just follow the standard procedure." Olivia had just attended Noah Evans's welcome home party yesterday. Today she was so elated she hadn't even bothered to come into the office. She wouldn't have time to notice such trivial details. For the next 2 days, Olivia still didn't show up at Hayes Corporation. Meanwhile, Ethan was busy with his travel arrangements and systematically tossing anything in his apartment connected to Olivia into the trash. Expensive jewelry, limited edition luxury cars, even the small trinkets she'd casually gifted him. He wanted none of it. Until the evening of the 3rd day, when his phone suddenly buzzed. "I know you've slept with Olivia countless times over the years, but I'm with her now. You'd better stay far away from her. She'd never like an impotent old man like you." Ethan frowned, about to ask who it was, when Olivia's call came through. "Ethan, come downstairs." Her voice held a joy he hadn't heard in a long time. A black Maybach was parked in front of the office building. Olivia, dressed in casual wear, leaned against the car door. Sunlight cast dappled shadows on her exquisitely beautiful face. For a fleeting moment, Ethan was reminded of when he was 15 and she'd waited for him just like this at the school gate. "Taking you somewhere," she said with a raised eyebrow, pulling open the car door. He hadn't expected their destination to be a high-end shopping mall. Olivia dragged him through every luxury boutique, holding up item after item against him. "Do you like it?" Ethan looked at his reflection, surrounded by opulence, a storm of emotions brewing inside him. "You don't need to buy me these things." "Ethan," she suddenly leaned in, her warm breath fanning his ear. "You and Noah have a similar build. If you like it, he definitely will too." Ethan froze. "So, these were for Noah Evans. Are you two together now, MHM?" Olivia's eyes shone with an incredible brightness, like a child who'd just been given candy. "I confessed at the party, and it turns out he liked me too. He said he was just never sure about my feelings back then. Couldn't believe I'd like him. That's why we kept missing each other." She chattered on, like a young girl experiencing her first love. Ethan listened quietly, suddenly remembering that vicious text message. He hadn't known who sent it before, but now, it was all clear. "Olivia," he interrupted softly. "What do you like about him?" "He's incredibly gentle and kind," she answered without hesitation. "Completely different from other men." Ethan thought of the words old man and plaything from the text message and frowned slightly. "Kind, perhaps not so much." He remained silent for a moment, then finally spoke. "He might not be who you think he is." The smile vanished from Olivia's face instantly. Though a smile still lingered on her lips, her eyes had turned cold. "Ethan, honey, I thought you were the most understanding." Her long fingers brushed a stray strand of hair from his temple, a gentle gesture that carried a clear warning. "Don't badmouth the person I cherish most just because you're jealous." Though young, as the heiress to a top-tier fortune, she possessed a formidable presence. Ethan felt a sudden wave of pressure emanating from her and knew he had overstepped. "My apologies." Ethan ultimately chose silence, not revealing the text message. On the way back, Olivia mentioned again that Noah liked antiques and told Ethan to bid on everything in an auction in a few days. "All right," Ethan agreed calmly. "But jewelry alone might not be enough." Let's add some paintings and calligraphy. Olivia glanced at Ethan, surprised. Not jealous anymore, Ethan. Jealous? He had never liked her, so how could he be jealous? He'd spoken up only because he didn't want to see her get hurt. Just as he was about to speak, Olivia's phone rang. When she answered, Noah's panicked voice came through the receiver. Olivia, I've been kidnapped. Help me. Olivia's expression changed drastically. She quickly pulled out her phone to track Noah's location. Once the GPS pinpointed him, she wrenched the steering wheel, U-turning sharply. Before Ethan could react, inertia slammed him hard against the car window. Blood instantly gushed from his forehead. But Olivia didn't even spare him a glance, flooring the accelerator and speeding towards the hotel rooftop. The kidnapper on the rooftop was the owner of a company previously bankrupted by the Hayes Corporation. He now held a knife to Noah's throat. Olivia Hayes, you destroyed my family and my life. Now I'll make you lose the one you love forever. Ethan clutched his bleeding forehead. He saw Olivia panic for only a fleeting second, and then, surprisingly, she smiled. Winning and losing are part of the game in business. Aren't you being a bit of a sore loser? With that, she grabbed Ethan's arm. Besides, you can't even get the right hostage. He's not my boyfriend. This man next to me, she gestured to Ethan, he is. Her smile was contemptuous. Then, she whispered affectionately in Ethan's ear, Ethan, darling, let's ignore them and go. Despite her words, her steps as she turned to leave were deliberately slow. Ethan instantly understood Olivia's plan. She was using him as bait to ensure Noah's safety. The kidnapper, as expected, fell for the trap. The moment he released Noah Evans and lunged at Ethan Miller, Ethan didn't even have time to react. The man's arm clamped around Ethan's neck like a vice, dragging him backward toward the edge of the rooftop. Ethan heard Olivia screaming his name, her voice filled with a panic he'd never heard before. But it was too late. Ethan's back hit the railing in the next second. A sudden feeling of weightlessness consumed him. The wind roared in his ears, his heart threatening to burst from his chest. From over 20 stories high, the fall would take only a few seconds. Ethan closed his eyes. The last thought that flashed through his mind was, the little girl from all those years ago had finally grown up enough to sacrifice him for the man she loved, without a moment's hesitation. When he woke again, the acrid smell of disinfectant filled his nostrils. You're one lucky guy, the nurse said as she changed his dressing. You landed on the safety net. The one who jumped down with you wasn't so fortunate. Died on impact. Ethan closed his eyes. Olivia couldn't have been ignorant of this outcome. Yet to save the man she loved, she had still chosen to sacrifice him without hesitation. She was only 22, but she already possessed the ruthless decisiveness of a magnate. Suddenly, the hospital room door opened, and Olivia walked in. Ethan, she sat by his bedside, reaching out to touch his face. I've arranged the best room, the best doctors for you. You'll be out of here in no time. Ethan turned his head, avoiding her touch, and looked at her silently. She sighed, taking his hand and pressing it to her cheek. Are you angry with me? I had no choice back then. She rubbed her cheek against his hand, her eyes moist, just like when she used to feign distress as a child. You love me so much, Ethan. Forgive me this once, okay? Ethan pulled his hand away. What makes you think I love you so much? She froze for a moment, then chuckled. If you don't love me, why have you stayed by my side for all these years? For the money, Ethan answered silently, but he didn't say it aloud. Go take care of Noah, Ethan said, closing his eyes. He must have been terrified. Olivia didn't argue. You're right. And after what I said to save him. He's still angry. I need to soothe him. She stood up, smoothing her skirt. Ethan, darling, I'll come see you again when I have time. She left, and she never came back. Occasionally, when Ethan passed the room next door, he would catch glimpses through the partially open door. Olivia spoon-feeding Noah soup, Noah frowning slightly and saying it was too hot, so she'd lower her head and blow on it gently. Noah saying he'd had a nightmare, and she'd hold him in her arms, comforting him softly. More often, they would kiss, oblivious to anyone else, Olivia's hands on Noah's shoulders, her kisses focused and deeply affectionate. Watching these scenes, Ethan felt nothing. On the day he was discharged, he ran into Olivia and Noah at the hospital entrance. Ethan, Noah jogged over, enthusiastically draping an arm around Ethan's shoulder. Thanks so much for this time. If it weren't for you, it would have been me. I'll have Olivia drive you home. His smile was bright and genuine, as if that provocative text message had never existed. Throughout the drive, Noah and Olivia chatted animatedly. Ethan sat in the back, as quiet as if he weren't there, until Noah suddenly turned around and asked Ethan, while I was abroad all these years, did Olivia date any of the guys back home? The car fell silent instantly. Olivia's fingers tapped unconsciously on the steering wheel, a hint of nervousness in the gesture. Ethan smiled. Yes, she did. Noah's expression changed. Who? You. Noah was stunned. Olivia has only ever loved you, Ethan said calmly. All these years, she never forgot you. On your birthday, she'd buy a cake and sit alone in your favorite restaurant until closing time. There's a storage unit on the west side, filled with all the gifts she bought for you when she missed you. She flew to Europe every week just to secretly watch you near your university. Noah's eyes grew moist as he listened. Olivia, however, looked at Ethan through the rearview mirror, her expression complex. For once, she dropped Noah home first, then drove Ethan alone. The car stopped in front of Ethan's apartment building. She grabbed his wrist. Ethan, what did you mean by all that just now? You don't think my assist was good enough? Ethan smiled, seeing how touched Mr. Evans was. I imagine those words will probably make your relationship even stronger. Olivia narrowed her eyes. I'm asking, why did you say those things? She leaned closer to Ethan, her breath on his face. Even if you're the most understanding person in the world, I'm still the woman you supposedly love. How could you so calmly talk about how much I love someone else? Ethan pursed his lips, sighing inwardly. Because I don't love you, little girl. Ethan Miller didn't answer Olivia Hayes' question. He simply asked calmly, You don't like me this way? She didn't hesitate. I don't. Then I won't say it again. With that, Ethan pushed open the car door, got out, and walked into the apartment building without a backward glance. As he stepped out of the elevator, the young woman from the apartment next door happened to be coming out. When she saw Ethan, her eyes lit up. She approached him politely. Sir, I've seen you a few times, but I never got a chance to say hello. You're exactly my type. Could I get your number? Maybe your Instagram. Just as Ethan was about to speak, a hand shot out from behind him, grabbing his arm and pulling him back. Asking my boyfriend for his number. Shouldn't you ask me first? Olivia's voice was ice cold. The woman's face changed. She quickly apologized. Oh, I'm so sorry. I've seen him coming and going alone these past few days. I didn't realize he had a girlfriend. She then hurried away. Ethan pulled his hand free from Olivia's grip. What are you doing here? Olivia's face was grim. She thrust his phone at him. You left this in the car. Ethan took the phone and thanked her. But she didn't leave immediately. Staring in the direction the woman had fled, she said curtly, Ethan, from now on, if anyone asks for your contact info, you're not allowed to give it out. Why? Because I said so. She slipped off her high heels and tossed them to Ethan. Put these by the door. Let people know there's a woman living here. When Ethan didn't move, she snatched them back and placed them herself on the doormat by his front door. Get some rest. She turned and left, her expression cold. Ethan watched her back until the elevator doors closed. Then, with a blank face, he tossed the expensive, custom-made high heels into the trash. 3 days later was the company's anniversary gala. Ethan was outside the venue confirming the evening schedule when he suddenly received a message from Olivia, come to the dressing room. Immediately, when he pushed open the door, Noah Evans was sitting on the sofa, his eyes red, holding a suit that had been deliberately slashed to ribbons. Ethan, how could you prepare a suit like this for me? His voice choked with emotion. Aren't you just trying to humiliate me at the gala? Ethan frowned and picked up the suit to inspect it. This was clearly the high-end custom suit he had personally delivered, perfectly intact. Now, it had been intentionally ruined. I apologize. I'll have a new one sent over immediately. Ethan quickly proposed a solution. It's too late. Noah shook his head. The gala is about to start. All the guests have arrived. Then how about a backup suit? The backup isn't formal enough. This is my first public appearance as Olivia's boyfriend. Ethan suggested several emergency solutions, but Noah rejected them one by one. After a few attempts, Ethan finally realized he was doing this on purpose. Olivia also seemed to sense something was off, her brow furrowing slightly. Noah, how do you want to resolve this? Noah pointed at Ethan. The suit Ethan's wearing is about my size. Why don't we switch? No. Ethan refused directly. I'm the chief executive assistant. I'm responsible for managing the entire gala tonight. To appear in a torn suit? What would people think? It wouldn't just be his reputation on the line, but the entire Hayes Corporation's. Ethan took out his phone. I'll call someone to deliver a new one now. There's still time. What if it's not in time? I can't risk it. Noah suddenly broke down, grabbing Olivia's arm. Olivia, so many people from our circle are here tonight. I want to look my best with you, and make a good impression on your parents too. Olivia's expression softened instantly. Ethan, she looked at him, switched with him. Ethan took a deep breath. I'm her assistant. I have a lot to manage tonight. Ethan, I'm your boss. You do as I say. She cut him off, her tone leaving no room for argument. Ethan closed his eyes for a moment, then finally walked into the changing room, and swapped his formal suit for Noah's. He, in turn, put on the ruined one. The shoulder was completely torn, the sleeves barely attached by a few threads, threatening to detach completely with the slightest movement. Noah, now wearing Ethan's suit, twirled in front of the mirror and asked Olivia with a smile. Olivia, who wears it better, me or Ethan? You, Olivia replied without hesitation. Noah glanced smugly in Ethan's direction. Ethan, once you're changed, hurry out. The gala still depends on you. After the door closed, Ethan stared at his reflection in the mirror for a few seconds, then suddenly ripped off the dangling sleeves, cinched the back of the jacket to create a vest-like style, unbuttoned his shirt collar, and wrapped black leather straps around his arms, showcasing his well-defined muscles. If he was going to be a mess, he might as well be a spectacular one. When Ethan Miller reappeared at the gala, all eyes in the room instantly focused on him. Oh my God, Ethan's outfit. It's incredible, isn't it? That physique, absolutely stunning. Was this suit intentionally designed like this? He looks like some kind of exclusive, dangerous butler. Olivia, who had been chatting with guests, turned her head upon hearing the murmurs, her eyes instantly darkening. Noah Evans's smile froze on his face, his hands clenching into tight fists. He quickly walked over. Ethan, why did you alter the suit like that? If I didn't, I couldn't have worn it out at all, Ethan said calmly. I'm an executive for Hayes Corporation. I have to consider the company's image. Noah's face was ugly, but he couldn't lash out. He could only put his arm around Olivia's shoulder. Olivia, let's go make some toasts. Olivia frowned. You can't drink. Isn't Ethan here? He can drink for me. Olivia paused. Ethan, too, was stunned. Everyone in their circle knew Ethan Miller was severely allergic to alcohol. Thanks to Olivia's protection, even though he was just an assistant, no one had dared to make him drink for years. But now, with Noah's casual remark, Olivia hesitated for only a second before agreeing. She glanced at him and said flatly, "Keep up." After that, Noah, as if intentionally, led Olivia from table to table, making toasts. With every glass raised, he would smile at Ethan and say, "Ethan, old pal, how about you take this one for me?" Ethan drank glass after glass. His throat burned so badly he could barely taste the alcohol anymore, only the metallic tang of blood rising in his throat. His stomach churned violently. He couldn't hold it in any longer and rushed to the restroom, vomiting until he was dizzy and weak. At the end, he coughed up a mouthful of bloody foam. He leaned against the sink, staring at his deathly pale face in the mirror. Before he could catch his breath, Noah's call came through again. "Ethan, why aren't you back yet? Olivia's uncles are waiting to toast." Ethan swallowed a few allergy pills and forced himself back to the banquet. By the time the gala ended, he could barely stand. Noah, meanwhile, leaned theatrically against Olivia's shoulder. "Olivia, I'm sleepy." Olivia stroked his hair, her voice indulgent. "You go wait in the car first. I'll be there after I see off the guests." Ethan silently leaned against the wall, watching their uninhibited affection, another wave of sharp pain twisting his stomach. Noah slung an arm around his shoulder, his smile bright. "Ethan, my man, let's go." Ethan could only let him guide him into the elevator. But as soon as they were inside, and seeing no one else around, Noah's face instantly changed. Slap! He backhanded Ethan across the face, his eyes venomous. "You bastard, you did that on purpose, didn't you? Deliberately dressing like that to steal my spotlight." Ethan raised his hand and, without hesitation, slapped him back. "Weren't you the one who wanted to switch suits with me?" Noah clutched his face, incredulous. "You dare hit me? Do you know who you are? You're nothing but a dog Olivia keeps. This is my off-duty time." Ethan stared at him coldly. "Even if you're her boyfriend, you have no right to insult me like that." Noah trembled with rage, about to curse again, when the elevator suddenly lurched with a boom, and the lights went out. Noah screamed, frantically grabbing Ethan's arm. "What's happening?" Ethan fought back his claustrophobia, quickly pressing the emergency button, but only static crackled from the intercom. No one answered. Noah immediately pulled out his phone and dialed Olivia's number, his voice instantly filled with panic. "Olivia, the elevator's stuck. Come save me." Ethan leaned against the corner, his breathing becoming increasingly rapid. The confined space, the thinning oxygen, made his vision blur. After what felt like an eternity, a cacophony of footsteps and Olivia's voice finally came from outside. "Noah, Ethan, can you hear me?" Noah immediately cried out, "Olivia, save me." A maintenance worker's voice came through the elevator doors. "Ms. Hayes, the elevator cables are damaged. It could plummet at any moment. We can only save one person right now. Who do you choose?" Ethan heard Olivia's unhesitating reply. Save Noah first. In that moment, Ethan Miller felt no surprise at all. Soon, the elevator doors were pried open a crack. Olivia's hand reached in, and Noah immediately scrambled towards it, pulled out by her. Ethan's still in there. Noah called out, feigning concern. Olivia's voice faltered for a moment. I'll get you out first, then we'll save him. Their footsteps gradually faded away. In the dark elevator, Ethan was left alone. Suddenly, the elevator jolted violently and began to plummet. Ethan slammed heavily onto the floor, his forehead striking the metal handrail. Warm blood gushed out instantly. Before consciousness blurred, he heard a deafening crash as the elevator smashed into the ground floor. When he regained consciousness, the glaring white light made him instinctively close his eyes again. Mr. Miller, you're finally awake. The nurse sighed with relief. You lost a lot of blood, almost didn't make it. Your girlfriend was frantic, urgently arranging blood transfusions, and doctors nearly turned the hospital upside down. Ethan's throat was dry, his voice hoarse. She's not my girlfriend. We have no relationship whatsoever. The hospital room door suddenly pushed open. Olivia stood in the doorway, her expression dark. What do you mean? No relationship whatsoever. The nurse, sensing the tension, quickly finished changing his medication and hurried out. Olivia walked to his bedside, staring at his pale face. Ethan, are you angry with me? Ethan looked at her calmly. Angry about what? Angry that I made you switch clothes with Noah. Angry that I made you take drinks for him. Olivia paused, and angry that I didn't save you first in the elevator. But Ethan, Noah's my boyfriend. Of course, he comes first. Ethan smiled faintly. Yes, he's your boyfriend. You should naturally prioritize him. Since that's the case, what reason do I have to be angry? Olivia was taken aback. She had come to placate Ethan, but hearing his indifferent response, her expression turned even uglier. You really think so? Yes. A nameless fire burned in Olivia's chest, yet Ethan further provoked her. Go take care of Noah? He must be terrified. She stared at him for a few seconds, then finally turned and left with a cold face. After leaving Ethan's room, Olivia didn't go straight to Noah's. She stood at the end of the hallway and called her childhood friend. Let me ask you something, she said, leaning against the wall, her face grim. If someone who really likes you suddenly stops being jealous when you're nice to another guy, why would that be? A light laugh came from the other end of the phone. What else could it be? They like you too much, Olivia frowned. What do you mean? Low-level liking is jealousy. High-level liking is silent devotion. Her friend teased. That person is in love with you to the core. Don't you get it? The inexplicable frustration in Olivia's chest instantly dissipated, and the corners of her mouth turned up unconsciously. That sports car in the garage you liked? It's yours. Holy crap, her friend exclaimed. Just saying a few words is worth 2 or 300 million. Give me more gigs like this in the future. Hanging up the phone, Olivia was in high spirits. Indeed, Ethan still loved her beyond redemption. She turned and went to Noah's hospital room. During his hospital stay, Ethan often saw Noah's posts on Instagram. She said I scared her badly when I got hurt, insisted on taking me to the Maldives to de-stress. The accompanying photo was of Olivia feeding him fruit on a private jet. Ethan swiped past it, expressionless, thinking it was for the best. If Noah kept Olivia occupied, he wouldn't have time to bother him. On the day of his discharge, Olivia wasn't at the company. Her Instagram showed she was skiing in Switzerland with Noah. Ethan counted the days. In 3 more days, he could officially complete his resignation. Back home, Ethan began to pack his bags. He hadn't accumulated much over the years. 1 suitcase was enough. Just as he was about to contact his landlord to terminate the lease, his phone rang. It was Olivia. Ethan, get to the Blue Note Club. Now. Her voice was urgent. Noah's in some trouble. When Ethan arrived, the scene was chaotic. Noah stood behind Olivia, his face deathly pale. In front of the club, a wrecked sports car was parked, and a pedestrian lay bleeding profusely near its front. Ethan, Noah was drunk driving and hit someone. Olivia handed Ethan a glass of whiskey. The police will be here any minute. Noah's a coward. You take the fall for him. Don't worry. You'll be in there for 2 days at most. I'll get someone to pull strings and get you out. I'll handle everything. You just need to cover for Noah with the police for a few days. Ethan Miller looked up at her. And if I don't want to? Olivia Hayes' voice was heavy. Ethan, this isn't a discussion. I'm your superior. Ethan stared at her for a few seconds, then suddenly smiled. All right. He took the glass and downed it in 1 gulp. The strong alcohol seared his throat, and an allergic reaction immediately set in. When the police arrived, Ethan, appearing thoroughly drunk, confessed to hitting the pedestrian with his car. The 48 hours in the police precinct were a nightmare. Whether it was Noah Evans's arrangement or not, Ethan was thrown into a crowded holding cell. Newbie, a heavily tattooed, burly man, sidled up to him. Looked just like a pretty boy. He suddenly grabbed Ethan's hair and slammed his head against the wall. Heard you think you're something special? Dare to offend Miss Hayes's man. Ethan fought back desperately but was pinned to the ground by several men and pummeled with fists and feet. You scum. You think you're worthy of competing with Mr. Evans. Pain racked his body, but Ethan bit his lip hard, refusing to cry out. The bruises were all hidden under his clothes, invisible to a casual observer. On the morning of the third day, Olivia finally arrived. Ethan, she frowned, looking at his pale face. Why do you look so awful? Ethan wanted to tell her what he'd endured for the past 48 hours, but then he remembered he was leaving today. Why bother? Didn't you sleep well in here? Ethan, I'm sorry you had to go through this. She reached out to touch his face, but Ethan instinctively flinched away. Her hand froze midair, her tone softening slightly. I could have gotten you out sooner, but Noah came down with a fever. Just because Noah Evans said he had a fever. She let him be locked up in a place like this for 2 days and beaten for 2 whole days. Ethan gave a self-deprecating smile, said nothing, and brushed past her shoulder as he left. Olivia quickly followed, taking his hand and pulling him into the car. Shall I take you home to rest? To the office. To the office at a time like this. She frowned. Home first. I have important business. His tone was light, yet brooked no refusal. Olivia remembered he used to be like this, insisting on finishing a merger she'd assigned him even when he was burning with a high fever. When they reached the office building, Ethan unbuckled his seatbelt. Just as he was about to get out, Olivia suddenly said, Want me to come up with you? No need. He pushed open the car door. A gust of cold wind blew in, stripping away the last vestiges of warmth from his body. Olivia's phone rang at that exact moment. Ethan heard Noah's voice on the other end. Olivia, my stomach hurts. Can you come keep me company? Olivia's frown deepened. She looked up at Ethan. Go on, he said, looking at her, his tone as considerate as ever. I'll head back once I'm done here. Olivia stared at him for a few seconds, then finally sighed. You've been through a lot this time. She reached out to touch his face, but he subtly avoided her hand. Before the window rolled up, her last words were, After I'm done comforting Noah, I'll make it up to you properly. Ethan stood there, watching the black Maybach disappear into the stream of traffic. He walked into the company building, completed the final procedures for his resignation, and said goodbye to his colleagues one by one. Then he went home, grabbed his luggage, and headed to the airport. Before boarding, he deleted all of Olivia's contact information and threw his SIM card into a trash can. As the plane soared into the clouds, he slowly closed his eyes. I've been with you for 12 years, Olivia Hayes. This time it's finally goodbye. When Olivia Hayes arrived at Noah Evans's apartment, he was curled up on the sofa, his face as pale as a sheet. Olivia. He reached out a weak hand. I'm in so much pain. Without a word, Olivia helped him up and headed for the elevator. Noah leaned against her, inhaling the faint freesious scent from her clothes, a smile unconsciously gracing his lips. Don't be scared. We'll be at the hospital soon, Olivia said, her brow furrowed, her voice low and gentle. The black Maybach sped through the city, running 3 red lights, finally screeching to a halt in front of New York's most expensive private hospital. The hospital director was already waiting with a team of specialists. Ms. Hayes, rest assured, we've prepared the best room and doctors. The director greeted her respectfully. Olivia nodded and followed Noah straight to the VIP suite. Along the way, nurses turned to look, whispering among themselves. Oh my God, that's the heiress of the Hayes fortune. She's so beautiful. She really pampers her boyfriend, doesn't she? I wish I were Noah Evans. The test results came back quickly. Mild gastritis. Just gastritis? Olivia frowned. Are you sure there are no other problems? Ms. Hayes, please be assured, Mr. Evans indeed only has mild gastritis. The attending physician wiped his brow. We've already arranged the best treatment plan. Get that new experimental drug they just developed in Europe, Olivia interrupted him. Money is no object, but that drug costs over $1 million per dose. Using it for mild gastritis isn't that a bit? I said, money is no object. Noah lay on the hospital bed, listening to Olivia spend extravagantly for him, his heart swelling with sweetness. He reached out and tugged at the corner of her clothes. Olivia, don't worry too much. Olivia turned and took his hand, her voice gentle. Rest well. I'll stay here with you. For the next 3 days, Olivia didn't leave his bedside. She personally fed Noah his medicine and meals, even carefully helping him turn over. When Noah said he craved the congee from that place on the west side, she immediately sent someone to buy it. When he said the hospital room was too stuffy, she instantly had the freshest flowers brought in to decorate it. When he casually mentioned he was bored, she immediately ordered a globally limited edition luxury sports car to be delivered to the hospital. The entire New York high society was buzzing about how much the Hayes heiress spoiled her boyfriend. On the day of his discharge, Olivia personally drove to pick Noah up. Olivia. Noah sat in the passenger seat, hesitating. I'm so lonely living by myself. Olivia was focused on driving. We're boyfriend and girlfriend now. His ears turned red, his voice growing softer. Can I move in with you? Olivia's hands on the steering wheel tightened slightly. She remembered Ethan had cleared out all his belongings from the mansion, and she did indeed want to see Noah every day. Okay, she nodded in agreement. Noah was ecstatic and moved into Olivia's mansion that very day. As soon as he entered, he excitedly began to redecorate. Olivia, how about we change this sofa to a white one, and the curtains to blue? For the bedroom, I want to use this set of sheets. Olivia stood by, responding gently to each inquiry. Okay. But after the entire mansion had been transformed, Olivia stood in the center of the living room and suddenly felt a wave of unfamiliarity. This place had once been entirely decorated by Ethan, from the furniture to the ornaments, every detail perfectly matching her taste and habits. And now, Olivia, you don't like it? Noah keenly sensed the change in her mood. Olivia shook her head and threw herself into his arms. How could I not? If you like it, I like it. In the following days, Noah Evans, using the excuse of feeling unwell after his hospital stay, asked Olivia Hayes not to go to the office and to spend all her time with him. Olivia agreed without a second thought, taking him to various high-end venues. At a Sotheby's auction, Noah took a liking to an antique vase, and Olivia immediately raised her paddle, bidding $100 million for it. At a Michelin 3-star restaurant, he casually mentioned he liked the head chef's skills, and Olivia poached the chef on the spot, hiring him as their private cook. Even while shopping, if he merely glanced a second longer at a suit in a window display, Olivia would immediately contact the designer to custom-make a globally unique version. The entire social circle marveled that Olivia Hayes was spoiling Noah Evans to the heavens. That night, Noah, wearing a bathrobe, knocked on Olivia's bedroom door. Olivia. He stood at the door, his ears flushed. Tonight, can I sleep with you? Olivia was looking at some documents. She looked up at his words, her gaze lingering on him for a moment before shifting away. Noah, go back to your room and sleep. Noah's eyes instantly reddened. Do you? Not like me anymore. Olivia immediately stood up, moved into his embrace, and tilted her head up to kiss his lips. The kiss was gentle and lingering, ending only when Noah's palms grew hot. How could I not like you? She cupped his face, her voice low. It's precisely because I like you so much that I cherish this. I want to save our first time for our wedding night, okay? Noah finally smiled and nodded. Then, good night. Good night. After closing the door, Olivia returned to bed but found herself unable to sleep. She stared at the ceiling, suddenly remembering her first time with Ethan Miller. She had been drunk then, mistaking him for Noah, and had slept with him in a haze. The next morning, Ethan hadn't said a word, just quietly dressed and prepared breakfast for her, as usual. In every intimate encounter thereafter, it was Ethan who guided her, teaching her how to please a man. His body was warm and firm. When he was on top of her, he would always patiently wait for her to adjust. Olivia found herself unconsciously aroused. Feeling the changes in her body, she belatedly realized that she hadn't seen Ethan for nearly 2 weeks. Ever since she'd asked him to take the fall for Noah, he hadn't contacted her. He was probably missing her like crazy but didn't dare disturb her and Noah. He had always been so considerate, so aware of boundaries. Thinking of this, she decided to take some gifts to the office tomorrow to see Ethan. After all, she had promised to compensate him. The next day, Olivia stood before her jewelry stand, her slender fingers brushing over rows of necklaces, finally selecting the sapphire pair Ethan had given her last year. As she was adjusting it in the mirror, Noah pushed open the door and wrapped his arms around her waist from behind. Olivia, are you going out today? She glanced down at his hands around her waist, her tone gentle. Going to the office for a bit. Noah blinked. Why the sudden trip to the office? Olivia didn't intend to hide it from him. Last time, I asked Ethan to take the blame for that incident. I should compensate him. As she spoke, she took out a velvet jewelry box from a drawer. Inside was the set she had just acquired from Sotheby's the night before. An emerald diamond, a pair of sapphire cufflinks, and a diamond ring. Noah stared at the diamond ring, his nails unconsciously digging into his palms, but his face remained innocently smiling. Can I go with you? I really owe Ethan for last time. I should thank him in person. Olivia didn't think much of it and nodded. Half an hour later, the black Maybach pulled up in front of the Hayes Corporation tower. Olivia walked into the elevator, holding Noah's hand, employees turning to look all along the way. Ms. Hayes and Mr. Evans look so good together. I heard Ms. Hayes spends lavishly on Mr. Evans. She really spoils him rotten. The elevator doors opened to the busy executive floor. Olivia scanned the area, but didn't see Ethan Miller. Which office is Ethan's? Noah Evans asked curiously. His office was right next to hers, but now it was empty. No one was there. Just as Olivia was about to go ask, Noah suddenly cried out, "Ouch!" and stumbled sideways. "Olivia!" he exclaimed, grabbing her arm. "I think I sprained my ankle." Olivia immediately bent down to check. "Does it hurt?" "A little." Noah feigned stoicism. "You go find Ethan first. Don't worry about me." "Don't be silly." Olivia helped him up and turned to the nearest assistant. "Give these jewelry sets to Mr. Miller. Tell him they're for me." The assistant, a young woman named Sarah, stood frozen, looking utterly bewildered. Mr. Miller, is there a problem?" Olivia's tone turned a few degrees colder. No problem at all." Sarah quickly took the jewelry boxes, watching as Olivia left, supporting Noah. Once the elevator doors closed, the entire executive office erupted. "Does Ms. Hayes still not know Mr. Miller has resigned?" "Yeah, it's been so long." "Mr. Miller didn't even tell her he was leaving." "Come to think of it, we haven't heard anything from Mr. Miller lately." Olivia had initially intended to take Noah to the hospital, but he said he'd had enough of hospitals, that it was just a minor sprain and resting at home would be fine. She didn't insist and took him directly back to the mansion. In the living room, she knelt on one knee, cupping his ankle in her palm, gently rubbing in ointment. Noah looked at her lowered gaze and couldn't help but whisper, "Olivia, I like you so much." Olivia's movements paused. She looked up at him, then a smile touched her lips. "I like you a lot too." Noah leaned in to kiss her, but she turned her head, avoiding him. "Don't mess around. I'm putting on ointment," she said, her tone gentle but firm. Over the next few days, Noah found various ways to keep her by his side. He said he wanted to see the Northern Lights, so Olivia chartered a private jet to take him to Norway. He said he craved a limited edition dessert from a certain bakery, so she immediately had it flown in. Even when he woke up from a nightmare in the middle of the night, she would put aside her work to soothe him back to sleep. For an entire week, Olivia didn't think about Ethan Miller again, until one evening at a business gala, Noah suddenly turned deathly pale, clutching his stomach and doubling over. "Olivia, my stomach hurts so much." "Maybe. My gastritis is acting up again." He leaned weakly against her shoulder. Olivia paused, suddenly remembering that Ethan used to have severe gastritis too. He always made a special kind of soothing broth that helped a lot. She even recalled the time he was curled up on the sofa in pain, and she had personally fed him the broth. She instinctively pulled out her phone and dialed Ethan's number, intending to ask him to make a batch and send it over. Ring. After a long wait, the call automatically disconnected. Olivia frowned and dialed again. Still no answer. The third time, a cold, mechanical voice came through the receiver. "The number you have dialed is currently busy." She stared at her phone screen, a sudden realization dawning. Olivia's face instantly turned grim. Ethan Miller had blocked her. Olivia Hayes stared at her phone screen, her brow deeply furrowed. She couldn't understand why Ethan Miller would block her. Was it because she'd made him take the fall last time? But hadn't she already sent jewelry as an apology? Or did he not like those particular pieces? An unprecedented wave of panic rose from the pit of her stomach. In her memory, Ethan had been with her for 12 years, always understanding, always knowing his place. He would never throw a childish tantrum like this. "Ms. Hayes, your water is ready." A staff member from the gala cautiously handed her a steaming glass of water. Olivia snapped back to reality, took the glass, and handed it to Noah Evans. "Drink something warm. It'll help you feel better." Noah took the glass, sipping it slowly, his face still pale. "Olivia, can you take me home, please?" "Noah, I have something very important to handle." For the first time, Olivia refused him. "You go rest at the hotel for a bit. The driver will take you home when the pain subsides." Noah was taken aback by her serious expression, thinking something major had happened with the company, and didn't dare pester her further. "Then, you go handle your business." Olivia leaned down and pressed a light kiss to his forehead. "I'll come home and be with you as soon as I'm done." Leaving the ballroom, Olivia practically ran to the parking lot. She jumped into her car, floored the accelerator, and the black Maybach shot off like an arrow. 20 minutes later, the car screeched to a halt in front of Ethan's apartment building. Olivia bounded up the stairs, 2 or 3 at a time. Standing before the familiar door, she raised her hand and knocked. Ethan Miller. Ethan Miller. No answer. The motion sensor light in the hallway flickered on at her voice, then quickly died out. In the darkness, she stared at the closed door, her chest constricting as if squeezed by an invisible hand, her breathing becoming labored. Why wasn't he answering her calls? Why had he blocked her? Why wasn't he even opening the door? The door to the apartment next door suddenly opened. A young man poked his head out, frowning. What's with all the noise in the middle of the night? Olivia shot him a cold glare. The man, intimidated by her gaze, immediately lost his bravado. I'm looking for the resident of 1203, she said, her voice extremely low, as if struggling to control a powerful emotion. 1203. The man was surprised. Oh, he moved out a while ago. Olivia felt as if she'd been struck by lightning. Moved out? When? About 2 weeks ago. The man tried to recall. I happened to be leaving that day and saw him dragging a suitcase. Olivia's pupils contracted slightly. 2 weeks ago. That was right after she'd made Ethan take the fall for Noah. She stood rooted to the spot, suddenly overwhelmed by an immense sense of panic. He left? Why did he leave? And why didn't he tell her after he moved? Before? Didn't he tell her everything? She whirled around abruptly, strode towards the elevator, and sped back to the office, driving recklessly. She ran 3 red lights on the way, nearly crashing into a guardrail, but she couldn't care less. When she burst into the executive offices, all the employees were startled by her grim expression. Olivia walked straight to Ethan's former workstation. It was empty, except for the jewelry sets Sheed had sent over, still untouched on the desk. Where's Mr. Miller? Olivia's voice was as cold as ice. Why haven't these jewels I sent been opened? Why was he not at his desk the first time, and still not here the second time? Everyone exchanged bewildered glances. Olivia felt like she was about to explode. Speak. The assistants were terrified by her. After a long pause, one finally stammered, and Mr. Miller resigned. Didn't you approve his resignation application? Olivia froze. She approved it? When had she approved it? She snatched the tablet from an assistant's hand, opened the company's internal approval system, her fingers almost stabbing through the screen. The system records clearly showed, 1 month ago, Ethan Miller submitted his resignation application. Approver, General Manager Olivia Hayes. Status, approved. Olivia Hayes stared at the record, her mind a complete blank. That day was Noah Evans's welcome home party. Her thoughts had been entirely consumed by Noah. She hadn't even looked at what she was approving, just casually tapped agree. And now she discovered the person who had resigned was Ethan Miller. How could it be him? It could have been anyone. How could it be him? How could he leave? The tablet slipped from her hand, crashing to the floor with a sharp crack. Olivia stood there, suddenly finding it hard to breathe. For 12 years, Ethan had been a constant in her life, like the air she breathed. She was so used to his presence that she'd never even considered he might leave. Why did he resign? The assistant, thoroughly frightened, whispered. Mr. Miller didn't say, but when he came to complete the paperwork that day, he seemed quite calm. Olivia clenched her fists, her knuckles turning white. Calm. To hell with calm. She completely lost control, spun around, and kicked over a nearby chair. The metal chair slammed to the ground, emitting a piercing screech. The group of assistants recoiled, nearly screaming in terror. Olivia stood there, her chest heaving, her eyes filled with a turmoil and rage she herself hadn't recognized. Find out where Ethan Miller went, where he is now, where he's living, his contact information. I want all of it within half an hour. A group of assistants stood by, trembling, having never seen the usually nonchalant heiress in such a furious state. Yes, ma'am, the assistants hastily replied. We'll start looking immediately. Half an hour later, the assistants returned one by one, but they brought back conflicting information. Ms. Hayes, Mr. Miller was spotted in the Maldives last week. No, the records I found show he was in Paris the day before yesterday. Airline data indicates he flew to Switzerland yesterday. As for contact information, Mr. Miller changes his number every time he moves to a new place, so we can't be sure of his current one. Olivia stared at the jumbled information trails on the computer screen, her temples throbbing. Ethan had been traveling extensively recently, and he changed his contact details every time he left the place. This was clearly a deliberate attempt to avoid someone or something. Switzerland. She focused on the latest piece of information, her fingers drumming impatiently on the desk. Get the jet ready. I'm flying to Switzerland immediately. Ms. Hayes, you have an important meeting tomorrow. Cancel it. Olivia shot up from her chair. Cancel all my appointments. She grabbed her coat and strode out, making a call as she walked. Prep the private jet. I need to fly to Switzerland tonight. No, I need to go right now. After hanging up, Olivia still couldn't control her emotions. She didn't understand. What was wrong with Ethan? Why would he suddenly leave? Was it because he was angry that she made him take the fall? But hadn't she said she would compensate him? Thinking of this, Olivia changed direction and headed to a luxury shopping district. Within 3 hours, she had practically emptied Hermes, Chanel, and Cartier of all their new arrivals. She also impulsively bought a private island, with all ownership documents made out in Ethan Miller's name. Ma'am, the private jet is ready, her butler reported, hurrying to keep up with her. Olivia nodded, striding toward the car parked outside the mall. Just then, a familiar voice called out from behind her. Olivia? Olivia frowned. Noah, what are you doing here? Noah Evans, clad in a thin white shirt, stood shivering in the cold wind, his face pale. I waited for you at home for so long, and you never came. I asked your assistant and found out you were going abroad. You're going to find Ethan. Noah frowned. He resigned. That was his choice. After working for so many years, it's normal to want a break. Why do you have to go after him? Olivia's voice turned cold. There is no why. He has to stay by my side. Noah was stunned. This was the first time Olivia had spoken to him in such a tone. But, all right, you're not feeling well. Don't stand out here in the wind. Olivia cut him off and turned to her driver. Take Mr. Evans home. I'm not going back. Noah suddenly grabbed her arm. If you absolutely have to go, then I'm going with you. Olivia's brow furrowed deeply. She was about to refuse, but Noah had already slipped into the car. Time was critical. She feared that if she delayed, Ethan would move on to another location. So, she had no choice but to get in as well. Let's go, she commanded the driver curtly. On the private jet, Noah stared at the piles of luxury gift boxes filling the cabin, too shocked to speak. Are all of these for Ethan? Olivia didn't even look up from Ethan's travel records. I upset him. I need to give him some gifts to win him back. Noah clenched his fists, his nails digging deeply into his palms. After the plane took off, he clutched his stomach and said softly, Olivia, my stomach still really hurts. Olivia kept her eyes glued to the tablet. Tough it out. Can we ask the plane to? No, she come off directly. Not until I find him. Noah's face paled, and he finally fell silent. Throughout the flight, Olivia kept staring at Ethan's travel trajectory, terrified he would disappear again. After a 12-hour flight, the plane landed at Geneva Airport. But when Olivia, leading her entourage, rushed to the hotel where Ethan was supposed to be staying, the front desk clerk delivered news that sent her into a rage. Mr. Miller? He checked out yesterday. Olivia slammed her fist on the marble countertop, making the receptionist jump back. She immediately dialed her assistant's number. Track him. He's gone again. Find out where he is now. 10 minutes later, the assistant reported, trembling, Ms. Hayes, Mr. Miller flew to Iceland this morning. Olivia spun around and marched out, boarded the private jet again, and commanded, to Iceland. Now, Noah trotted to keep up. Olivia, we just landed. Shouldn't we rest for a bit? If you're tired, you can stay here by yourself, Olivia said without turning back. I have to find him. Noah bit his lip, his eyes welling up, but he could only drag his exhausted body along, following Olivia's steps once more. He didn't understand. Just the day before, this woman had been doting on him. Yet the moment she heard Ethan had left, she was like a completely different person. Another 10+ hours of grueling flight. When the plane landed in Iceland, Noah was pale and his legs were weak. But Olivia didn't even spare him a glance. She disembarked and headed straight for the hotel Ethan had booked. Mr. Miller? He checked out this morning. The receptionist replied politely. I heard he was going to Norway to see the northern lights. Olivia's expression instantly became terrifyingly dark. Without a word, she turned and stalked out. Continue to Norway. Olivia. Noah Evans finally couldn't take it anymore and grabbed her arm. We've been flying for so long. Can we please rest for a bit? I told you, if you want to rest, stay behind yourself. Olivia Hayes shook off his hand and strode toward the tarmac. I don't have time to waste. Noah stood frozen, tears welling in his eyes. He had never seen Olivia like this. Obsessive, frantic, with eyes only for that man named Ethan Miller. Norway, Denmark, the Netherlands. They chased Ethan's trail across half of Europe, like pursuing a phantom. At every stop, they received the same answer. Mr. Miller just left. A week later, When they learned Ethan had gone to the Maldives, Olivia was ready to depart immediately. Noah finally broke down. Enough. He seized Olivia's wrist. Stop looking. He's obviously on a round-the-world trip. Whatever you have to say, can't it wait until he's finished traveling? Olivia coldly pulled her hand away. I can't wait that long. Why? Noah's voice trembled. Isn't he just like an older brother to you? Why do you absolutely have to see him right now? He can travel the world with me, Olivia said, as if she hadn't heard his question, talking to herself. Why did he have to leave me and go alone? Noah was stunned. He heard an intense possessiveness in Olivia's words, an emotion he had never sensed from her before. Even during their most intimate moments, Olivia had never displayed this almost fanatical obsession. Noah broke. You're going on a round-the-world trip with him? Then what about me? What am I? Olivia frowned and pushed his hand away. Don't be ridiculous. I'm being ridiculous. Noah's voice suddenly rose. Olivia Hayes, ask yourself, since the day you found out Ethan left, have I even been in your sight? Seeing the time tick by, Olivia glanced at her watch, clearly agitated. Noah, whatever it is, we can talk about it when we get back. If we delay any longer, he'll change locations again. Get back. Noah sneered. Will you even come back? The way you are now, it's like you turn the earth upside down to find him. Olivia was silent for a moment, then suddenly said yes. I'm going to find him. Noah staggered back a step as if struck by lightning. Why? Isn't he just an assistant to you? Didn't you say he was just the older brother figure who grew up with you? Enough. Olivia cut him off sharply. I don't have time to explain this to you. Fine. Noah took a deep breath. I'll give you one last chance. Either come back with me now, and we pretend none of this happened, or you go find him, but from this moment on, we break up. A clean break. Olivia froze, staring at him for 3 seconds, then replied without hesitation. Then let's break up. What did you say? Noah's eyes widened in disbelief. Didn't you ask me to choose? Olivia's impatience grew. I choose the second option. Break up. I told you, I don't have time right now. If I'm late, he'll be gone again. As she finished speaking and was about to turn away, Noah Evans desperately clung to her sleeve. Olivia Hayes, don't you think you're being absurd? Noah's voice quivered. You keep saying you like me, but during all those years I was abroad, you never once came to find me. Now Ethan Miller has only been gone a few days, and you've completely lost it. Tears streamed down his face as he demanded, what exactly are your feelings for him? Have you even figured it out yourself? Olivia froze, his question like a sharp knife piercing her heart. What were her feelings for Ethan? For 12 years, he had been like air in her life. She was accustomed to his presence, had never even imagined he would leave. Ms. Hayes, the plane is ready. The pilot's voice interrupted her thoughts. Olivia snapped back to reality and wrenched her hand free from Noah's grip. I don't have time to explain this to you. Since you want to break up, then we're broken up. I need to find Ethan. I only have one thought. I want him back. Noah, incredulous, chased after her frantically. Olivia Hayes, stop right there. But the woman didn't stop. Her pace quickened, and she almost ran onto the plane. The moment the cabin door closed, Noah collapsed to the ground, sobbing. He finally understood. Olivia's feelings for Ethan Miller were never just those for an older brother. On the plane, Olivia stared at Ethan's latest itinerary on her tablet, her fingers unconsciously caressing the screen. Ma'am, Mr. Miller has booked a hotel in the Maldives for a week this time. He probably won't leave so quickly, the butler said cautiously. Olivia murmured, her gaze fixed on the roiling sea of clouds outside the window. The past week's chase had left her exhausted, but Noah's question had drained her even more. What were her feelings for Ethan? Memories flooded back. When she was 13, a few older students had cornered her in an alley. It was Ethan who had rushed in, wielding a brick, to save her. On her 14th birthday, she ran away from home. It was Ethan who had carried her on his back for nearly 2 miles to get home. When she was 20 and experienced her first heartbreak, she had cried in Ethan's arms like a child, and he had just gently patted her back, saying nothing. All these years, no matter how willful or outrageous she behaved, Ethan had always been there, like an unshakable lighthouse. She suddenly remembered the last time she saw Ethan. It was raining heavily that day. He stood downstairs at the company building, watching her back as she went to find Noah, and said goodbye. Her mind had been entirely on Noah then. She hadn't even turned her head. Thinking back now, those were his last words to her. Faster, Olivia suddenly said. The pilot sounded troubled. Ms. Hayes, this is already our maximum cruising speed. Olivia said no more, just stared dead ahead, as if willing the plane to fly faster. When Ethan Miller woke, sunlight was already streaming through the sheer curtains, filling the room. He stretched, feeling more relaxed than he had in ages. Over the past month, he had traveled through 7 countries, witnessed the aurora borealis in Iceland, experienced the romance of Paris, and marveled at the vastness of the African savanna. The emotions he had suppressed for 12 years seemed to have been gradually washed away by these beautiful sights. Just as he was about to get up and open the curtains, an arm snaked out from under the covers and pulled him back onto the bed. "It's still early," a low, languid female voice murmured in his ear. "Sleep a little longer." Ethan froze, then whipped his head around to find a face inches from his own. Beautiful features, a high-bridged nose, and a pair of phoenix eyes that held a hint of a smile. A beauty so striking it rivaled Olivia Hayes's. He gasped and shoved the person away. "This is my room. Who are you?" The woman, now awake, propped herself up slowly, revealing a fair expanse of her upper body. She raised an eyebrow. "Your room? Why don't you take another look?" Only then did Ethan realize something was wrong. He leaped out of bed and rushed out of the bedroom. Glancing around, he froze. This wasn't the sea view room he had booked at all, but an incredibly luxurious presidential suite. He had drunk too much last night and stumbled into the wrong room. "Remember now?" The woman leaned against the doorframe, a smirk playing on her lips. Ethan forced himself to remain calm. "Then why didn't you wake me?" "Wake you?" The woman chuckled, then suddenly pulled open the collar of her silk robe. "The moment you came in, you clung to me like a teddy bear, holding on for dear life. I wanted to wake you, but you..." She pointed to several distinct red marks on her chest. "You did this last night. I'm not sure if you thought I was a pillow or if you were dreaming about rock climbing." Ethan's face flushed crimson. He'd seen his share of situations over the years, but right now he was so embarrassed he wished the earth would swallow him whole. He noticed the woman had been speaking to him in English the whole time and felt a wave of relief. At least she was a fellow countryman. Communication would be easier. "I am so incredibly sorry," he apologized sincerely. "I'll cover the cost of the room for last night, and any medical expenses for an examination will also be on me." As he spoke, he took out a notepad and jotted down his phone number. "My name is Ethan Miller." The woman interrupted him, saying his name flawlessly. Ethan looked up in surprise. "You know me?" The woman raised an eyebrow. "We've met once. Have you forgotten?" He studied her carefully, finding her increasingly familiar, yet he couldn't quite place where he had seen her before. "San Francisco, the Rossi Gala," the woman prompted. "Last March." Ethan suddenly remembered. Sophia Rossi, the heiress to the wealthiest family in San Francisco, a few years older than Olivia, and his contemporary. He had attended that event as Olivia's executive assistant, spending the entire evening catering to that little princess, with no opportunity to interact with Ms. Rossi. Ms. Rossi, he asked, somewhat uncertainly. Sophia Rossi's lips curved into a smile. "Impressive that Mr. Miller still remembers me. I've already resigned," Ethan corrected instinctively. "Then that gives me a chance to poach you." Sophia rose from the bed, casually draping a robe over her shoulders. "How about working for Rossi Corp? Double the salary." The faint scent of freesia from her wafted towards him. Ethan unconsciously took half a step back. "I apologize, Ms. Rossi, but I'm not looking for work at the moment. I'm currently traveling the world. I'm truly sorry about last night. If you require any further compensation, Ms. Rossi, please feel free to contact me." With that, he prepared to make a hasty retreat. But Sophia suddenly blocked his path, her gaze intense. "You know I don't lack anything. Then what is it that you want?" "I lack a boyfriend." Sophia looked directly into his eyes. "How about you offer yourself to me?" Ethan was stunned. "You can't be serious. Do I look like I'm joking?" Sophia's smile faded, her expression so earnest it made his heart tremble. "There are so many eligible bachelors from prominent families. Why me?" Sophia suddenly took a step closer, her lips slowly curving upwards. "Isn't it obvious? I like you." Ethan Miller stared at Sophia Rossi, a rare flicker of panic in his usually calm eyes. "You can't be serious," he repeated instinctively. Sophia Rossi chuckled. "Mr. Miller, Sophia Rossi, never joke about matters of the heart. But we've only met twice." "3 times, Sophia corrected. "You've forgotten one. The first time was at that San Francisco gala last March. You were wearing a navy blue suit, attending to Olivia Hayes, that little princess, the entire night. When she got drunk, you took drinks for her and ended up with a rash from an allergic reaction. The second time was at the Tokyo Summit. You were giving a presentation, and I was in the audience. You wore a black custom-tailored suit, and your logical clarity while explaining the merger case was astonishing. Afterwards, some Japanese delegates tried to get you to drink, but you deflected them smoothly. That composure left a deep impression on me. The third time is right now. Ethan was stunned. He hadn't expected Sophia to remember so clearly, much less describe those details with such accuracy. Her tone was too sincere for him to doubt. Rumor in our circles has always been that you're deeply in love with Olivia Hayes, Sophia continued. That's why I held back. But now that you've resigned, meaning you've left her, it means I can make my move. Her words were so direct, they left him no room for defense. Suddenly, he seemed to realize something. A CEO as busy as Sophia Rossi wouldn't suddenly take a vacation in the Maldives, nor would she be discussing business in a place like this. He stared into Sophia's eyes. You follow me here? Sophia raised an eyebrow. Followed is such an ugly word. I heard you left Olivia Hayes, so I chased you all the way out of the country. She chuckled lightly. I just didn't expect you to run so fast. It took me 7 countries to finally catch you here. But last night was purely accidental. I intended to reintroduce myself in a more dignified manner, but I didn't expect. She glanced meaningfully at the rumpled bed. You to barge directly into my room. Ethan's ears burned. He quickly changed the subject. I apologize, but I have no plans to start a relationship right now. No rush. Sophia smiled with easy confidence. You can refuse to be with me, but you can't take away my right to pursue you. She said this with such conviction that Ethan, for a moment, couldn't find a rebuttal. He was rendered speechless and could only make a quick excuse to leave. An hour later, Ethan, dressed and ready to go to the restaurant, opened his door only to find Sophia leaning against the opposite wall, casually twirling a pair of sunglasses. Fancy meeting you here, she said with a smile. Dinner together? Before Ethan could refuse, Sophia interjected. We're both heading to the restaurant. You wouldn't kick me out, would you? He sighed in resignation, silently agreeing to her company. They walked side by side along the beach. The sea breeze ruffled Ethan's hair, and a stray bit of fluff, from where he couldn't tell, clung to his eyelashes. He was about to reach for it when Sophia leaned in, raising her hand. Don't move. Her fingers gently brushed his eyelashes, her touch incredibly soft. Ethan unconsciously held his breath, inhaling the faint scent of freesia from her. In this charged, intimate moment, a furious shout suddenly erupted from behind them. What do you two think you're doing? Ethan Miller whipped around to see Olivia Hayes standing a short distance away, her face terrifyingly dark. He almost thought he was hallucinating. What was Olivia doing here? Before he could react, Olivia strode towards them and yanked him behind her. Ms. Rossi, I'd appreciate it if you'd stay away from my man. Sophia Rossi calmly adjusted her cuffs. Ms. Hayes, if I recall correctly, he has already resigned. I didn't approve it. Olivia gritted out. Ethan pulled his arm free from her grasp, his voice cold. You did approve it. I have indeed resigned. His words were like a bucket of ice water poured over Olivia. She looked at him in disbelief. Ethan, usually, whenever she called him that, no matter how angry he would soften. But this time, he merely asked, what are you doing here? To take you back. Olivia reached out to grab his hand. Ethan stepped back. I'm not going back. You're coming back whether you like it or not. Olivia suddenly raised her voice. Are you going to say I'm your boss again? Ethan interrupted. You're not anymore. I told you I resigned. With that, he turned and walked away. Sophia gave Olivia a meaningful glance and followed him. Olivia stood rooted to the spot, her fists clenching so tightly her knuckles cracked. She wanted to chase after them, but the look in Ethan's eyes stopped her. She checked into a room at the front desk, specifically choosing the one next to Ethan's. The moment she entered her room, Olivia threw off her jacket in frustration. The coldness in Ethan's eyes kept replaying in her mind, a pain so sharp it nearly suffocated her. She pulled out her phone and called her childhood friend. Let me ask you something. Olivia's voice was hoarse. If a woman gets furious seeing a man get close to another woman and feels like her heart is being torn out at the thought of him leaving forever, what does that mean? Her friend's laughter came from the other end. Isn't it obvious? Your friend has fallen for that guy. Olivia felt as if she'd been struck by lightning. The phone almost slipped from her grasp. Fallen for him? Her feelings for Ethan were love? Noah's words suddenly echoed in her ears. You say you don't like him, but the moment he leaves, you act like a mad woman. Olivia's heart pounded faster and faster. Yes, she had never gone abroad to find Noah in all those years, but Ethan had only been gone a few days, and she had frantically searched the world for him. The realization brought an unprecedented wave of euphoria. This was great. She loved Ethan. This knowledge made her heart race, her blood boil. Since she loved him, and he loved her, all she had to do was tell him this truth, and he would surely come back to her. Then, she would marry him, and they would be together forever. That evening, Olivia stood outside Ethan's door, took a deep breath, and knocked. "Ethan, I need to talk to you." Silence from within. She knocked again. "I know you're in there." Still no answer. Olivia pulled out her phone to call Ethan, but a mechanical voice informed her, "The number you are calling is currently busy." She hung up in frustration and dialed the hotel front desk instead. "I need a spare key card for room 1203. "I'm sorry, ma'am. We can't. I'm Olivia Hayes of the Hayes Corporation," she cut in coldly, "the largest shareholder in this hotel." 5 minutes later, Olivia had the key card. She pushed open the door. The room was empty, except for a suitcase in the corner. The sound of running water came from the bathroom. Olivia breathed a sigh of relief and walked to the bathroom door. "Ethan, we need to talk." The water stopped abruptly. "Get out." Ethan's voice, calm and terrifying, came from behind the door. "I have something important to tell you." Olivia stood her ground stubbornly. "I've realized my feelings for you. I don't care." Ethan cut her off. "Please leave." "Olivia Hayes." Ethan suddenly used her full name. "It's been 12 years. When have you ever cared about what I wanted to hear?" His words were like a knife, stabbing viciously into Olivia's heart. She opened her mouth but found herself speechless. Yes, for the past 12 years, it had always been Ethan accommodating her, taking care of her, fulfilling her every demand. And what had she given him? "I'm sorry." Olivia's voice was strained. "I was too immature before." The bathroom door suddenly opened. Ethan, wearing a bathrobe, stepped out, his hair still dripping. "No need to apologize," he said, looking at her calmly. "Our relationship was always a transaction." "What transaction?" Olivia frowned. Ethan Miller walked to the vanity and picked up the hairdryer. "I accompanied you as you grew up, and you helped my father's company survive its crisis. Now, the transaction is over." Olivia Hayes stumbled back a step as if struck by lightning. "What did you say?" "I said," Ethan enunciated each word clearly, "my approaching you, from the very beginning, was for money." The sound of shattering glass jolted Olivia from her daze. She looked at Ethan's calm face and suddenly laughed. "Fine. Very good. Ethan Miller, you're ruthless." With that, she turned and left, slamming the door heavily behind her. Ethan stood in place, listening to her footsteps fade away, and finally let out a breath of relief. Olivia stumbled back to her own room. She collapsed onto the bed, staring at the ceiling, Ethan's calm, almost cold, gaze replaying in her mind. "I never loved you. It was just for the money. 12 years of companionship, all fake." Every word was like a knife, flaying her alive. But what pained her even more was that, even knowing the truth, she found she still couldn't leave Ethan. When Ethan left his room, Sophia Rossi was leaning against the wall at the end of the corridor, waiting for him. Finished talking, she walked over, naturally taking the bag from his hand. Ethan nodded, suddenly feeling exhausted. Sophia glanced at him but didn't ask much. "I've booked a restaurant right by the sea." They walked side by side to the elevator, neither mentioning Olivia Hayes. At dinner, Sophia Rossi thoughtfully ordered Ethan Miller's favorite dishes and a bottle of red wine. "Try this," she said, pouring him a glass. "It's the restaurant's signature." Ethan took a small sip, his brow smoothing. "Delicious. How does it compare to the Hayes family's wine?" Sophia asked suddenly. Ethan put down his glass. "What are you trying to ask? What did she say to you?" Sophia looked directly into his eyes. "To make you look so upset." Ethan was silent for a moment before telling the truth. "She said she likes me, and then I told her the truth." Ethan gave a bitter smile. "That I only got close to her for the money." Sophia swirled the wine in her glass. "Did she believe you?" "I told her to ask my father." "Your father?" Sophia mused. "The Miller Corporation isn't doing too well now, is it? Without the Hayes family support." Ethan shook his head. "It has nothing to do with me. I've already cut ties with the Miller family." Sophia raised an eyebrow. "So decisive." 12 years was enough," Ethan said softly. "Whatever I owed them, I've long since repaid." Sophia suddenly reached out and covered his hand with hers. "So what are your plans now?" "Continue traveling, I guess." Ethan looked out at the distant sea. "The world is so big. Alone." Ethan brought his gaze back to meet Sophia's intense stare. "Ms. Rossi." "Call me Sophia," she interrupted. "Or Sophia Rossi is fine too. Don't always be so formal." Ethan smiled helplessly. "Sophia, what is it you actually like about me? We barely know each other. What do I like about you?" Sophia chuckled. "I like how you pretend to be strong, even when you're vulnerable. I like how you stayed clear-headed even when Olivia Hayes treated you that way. I like." She paused. "Does liking someone need a reason?" Ethan's heart skipped a beat. Just as he was about to speak, A commotion suddenly erupted at the restaurant entrance. Ethan turned his head and his expression changed instantly. Olivia Hayes stood there. Her face was grim as she strode directly towards Ethan's table. Ethan, her voice was hoarse. We need to talk. Sophia stood up. Ms. Hayes, Ethan is currently on a date with me. Get lost. Olivia swung her hand towards Sophia. Sophia sidestepped the blow and grabbed Olivia's wrist. Ms. Hayes, please mind the setting. Olivia wrenched free and rushed over, her eyes red, throwing her arms around Ethan. I checked. Your father admitted everything. But Ethan, I don't care. She buried her face in his neck, her voice choked with sobs, utterly humbled. I don't care why you approached me back then. My feelings for you are real. I like you so much, Ethan. Please come back to me. Ethan stood frozen. This was the first time Olivia had ever shown such weakness in front of him. The proud heiress was now clinging to him like a lost child, begging for his affection. He took a deep breath and, one by one, pried her fingers off him. I'm sorry. I'm not interested in a little sister. Ethan left the restaurant without a backward glance. He was a good distance away before he finally let out a long sigh. Are you okay? Sophia asked. Ethan shook his head. I want to go back to my room. I'll walk you. Back at his room door, just as Ethan was about to use his key card, Sophia suddenly pressed her hand over his. Ethan, her voice was very soft, be my boyfriend. Ethan looked up at her. You know I won't agree. Sophia chuckled. You will, because we'll just be a pretend couple. Ethan was stunned. Sophia took a step closer, pinning him against the door. Be with me, pretend to be a couple. Olivia Hayes won't bother you anymore. I believe, once we announce we're boyfriend and girlfriend, with her pride, she won't last long. Her breath fanned his face, and Ethan's heart raced. You're taking advantage of my situation. Yes, I am, Sophia admitted candidly. So do you agree? Ethan looked at her face, so close to his, and suddenly smiled. Then I'll have to trouble Ms. Rossi to let me use her. A slight smile touched Sophia's lips. The pleasure is all mine. 3 days later, when Olivia Hayes appeared before Ethan Miller again, she saw him hand in hand with Sophia Rossi. Olivia. Ethan greeted her calmly. This is Sophia Rossi, my girlfriend. Olivia Hayes's gaze fell on their intertwined hands, her face instantly turning deathly pale. When did this happen? Just a couple of days ago, Sophia Rossi said, naturally draping her arm around Ethan Miller's. Aren't you going to congratulate us, Ms. Hayes? Olivia stared intently at Ethan, trying to find any flaw in his composure. But he simply returned her gaze, his eyes showing no emotion whatsoever. I don't believe it. Olivia suddenly laughed. Ethan, are you resorting to such tricks just to make me give up? Think whatever you want. Ethan took Sophia's arm. We have a date. We'll be going now. In the days that followed, Olivia seemed possessed, relentlessly pursuing Ethan. She sent flowers to his door daily. When they were refused, she switched to sending his once-favorite desserts. She found out his itinerary and deliberately orchestrated chance encounters. She even, in front of Sophia, asked him with tear-filled eyes, Ethan, what do I have to do for you to come back? But Ethan remained unmoved. He and Sophia acted intimately in public, as if they were truly a couple deeply in love. Until one day, as Ethan was heading out, he suddenly found himself surrounded by several bodyguards. Before he could react, a damp cloth was pressed over his mouth and nose. A pungent odor filled his nostrils. He struggled for a few moments, then quickly lost consciousness. When he woke again, he found himself tied to a chair in an abandoned warehouse. Awake, a familiar male voice spoke. Ethan looked up to see Noah Evans standing before him, a twisted smile on his face. Noah Evans. Ethan's voice was hoarse. What are you doing? Do you know kidnapping is a felony? Are you insane? Insane? Of course I'm insane. Noah shrieked. Olivia abandoned me for you. How could I not be insane? He grabbed Ethan's hair. Do you know how much I love her? I've loved her since the first time I saw her in high school. I waited so many years, finally got her to confess. She clearly loved me so much, was so good to me. And then you leave, and she changes her mind. Ethan endured the pain. You can't force feelings. Shut up. Noah slapped him across the face. This is all your fault. If it weren't for you. The warehouse door suddenly burst open, and Olivia rushed in. Noah, let him go. Noah turned, a sickly smile spreading across his face. Olivia, you finally came. When Olivia saw Ethan tied up, her face instantly turned deathly pale. What did you do to him? Nothing. Noah pulled a knife from his pocket. Just thought I'd make him disappear forever. Olivia took a step forward. Noah, don't do anything stupid. Stupid? Noah laughed maniacally. He's already ruined my life. He raised the knife, aiming it at Ethan's chest. As long as he's dead, you'll come back to me. No. Olivia lunged forward. A flash of steel, and blood spurted out. Ethan's eyes widened in horror. Olivia had thrown herself in front of him. The knife was buried deep in her abdomen. Olivia. Noah screamed, his hand dropping the knife, unable to believe what he'd done. Olivia crumpled to the ground, blood quickly staining her white dress. Ethan, she managed, turning to him. Are you okay? Ethan struggled desperately against his restraints. Olivia, hold on. Noah collapsed to the floor, muttering, I didn't mean to. Olivia, I didn't mean to. The sound of sirens wailed outside. Soon, police officers rushed in and subdued Noah. Paramedics followed close behind, quickly administering emergency treatment to Olivia before lifting her onto a stretcher and into an ambulance. Ethan was also freed and followed them to the hospital. On the bench outside the operating room, Ethan's hands trembled, his clothes still stained with Olivia's blood. Sophia Rossi hurried in. Seeing him in this state, she hugged him tightly, her heart aching. It's okay. It's okay now. Ethan leaned against her shoulder, the tears finally falling. 5 hours later, the operating room light went off. The doctor emerged. The patient is out of danger, but will need to rest and recuperate. Ethan let out a long breath, his legs giving way, nearly collapsing. Sophia caught him. Do you want to go see her? Ethan hesitated for a moment, then shook his head. No. Why? She's already done more than enough for me, Ethan said softly. Seeing her again will only make it harder for her to move on. Sophia was silent for a moment, then nodded. Then let's go. Where to? Anywhere, Sophia said, taking his hand. As long as you're happy. 3 months later, Paris. Ethan Miller sat at a cafe on the banks of the Seine, flipping through a travel guide. Over the past 3 months, he had journeyed through half of Europe, finally settling in Paris for a while. Decided where to go next. Sophia Rossi sat down opposite him, handing him a cup of hot cocoa. Ethan took the cup, his fingertips accidentally brushing hers. He quickly pulled his hand back. Haven't decided yet. I have a suggestion, Sophia smiled. How about staying at my estate in the south of France for a few days? It has the best vineyards and wine cellars. Just as Ethan was about to refuse, his phone vibrated. It was an unfamiliar number. He hesitated for a moment, then answered. Mr. Miller. A strange male voice came from the other end. This is the Hayes family's butler. Mr. Hayes would like to see you regarding Ms. Olivia. Ethan frowned. I have no further connection with the Hayes family. Ms. Olivia is ill. The butler's voice was heavy. Very seriously. She keeps calling your name. Ethan's fingers tightened. Didn't she recover from her injuries? It's not physical. It's depression, the butler sighed. Ever since she was injured for you, and then you left without a word, she's locked herself in her room, refusing to eat or drink. The doctors say if this continues, even if just for old time's sake. Ethan was silent for a long time, then finally sighed. New York City, the Hayes family mansion. Ethan stood at the entrance, feeling as if worlds had passed. 3 months had gone by. Nothing here seemed to have changed, yet somehow, everything felt different. The butler greeted him respectfully. Mr. Miller, Mr. Hayes is waiting for you in the study. Mr. Hayes looked much older than Ethan remembered, his temples completely white. Ethan, he sighed deeply. Olivia's condition is very bad. Ethan pressed his lips together. Mr. Hayes, Olivia and I have already. I know, Mr. Hayes interrupted, but that child genuinely loves you. She's had everything she ever wanted since she was little, only with you. She truly fell in love without even realizing it. Ethan lowered his gaze. There's no point in saying these things now. There is a point. Mr. Hayes handed him a stack of documents. This is what Olivia has been doing for the past 3 months. Ethan opened the file and froze. The first page was a stock transfer agreement. Olivia had transferred all her Hayes Corporation shares under her name to him. The second page was the deed to a private island, with his name listed as the owner. The third page. After she woke up, she searched for you for 3 months, Mr. Hayes's voice was hoarse. Later, she heard you were in Paris and bought the earliest flight, but she suffered a severe gastric hemorrhage at the airport. Ethan's fingers trembled slightly. The doctor said it was due to long-term irregular eating habits and extreme mental stress. Mr. Hayes sighed. Ever since you left, she hasn't had a proper meal. Ethan closed the file. Mr. Hayes, what do you want me to do? Go see her, Mr. Hayes said wearily. Consider it. Pity for a father. Ethan was silent for a long time, then finally nodded gently. Olivia's bedroom door was tightly shut, the curtains drawn, and the room reeked of alcohol. Ethan gently pushed open the door and saw Olivia curled up on the bed, clutching a jacket he had once left at her place. Hearing the sound, she didn't even look up. "Get out." Ethan stood in place, not moving. Olivia suddenly looked up, freezing the moment she saw him. "Ethan." Her voice was hoarse, as if afraid to break a beautiful dream. Ethan Miller walked to the bedside, looking at her gaunt cheeks and red-rimmed eyes. His heart felt as if it were being squeezed by an invisible hand. "How did you let yourself get like this?" he asked softly. Olivia Hayes stared at him, then suddenly reached out and grabbed his wrist. "It really is you." Her fingers were ice-cold, her grip so strong it almost felt like it would crush his bones. "It's me." Ethan tried to pull his hand away. "I heard you were sick, so I came to see you." But Olivia wouldn't let go. "You came back. Does that mean you've forgiven me?" Ethan shook his head. "I was never angry with you." "Then why did you leave?" Olivia asked urgently. "Was it because of Noah Evans?" "I've already broken up with him." "It wasn't because of him." Ethan sighed. "Olivia, the problem between us was never about anyone else." "Then what was it?" Olivia's voice trembled. "Tell me. Whatever it is, I'll change anything." Ethan looked at her reddened eyes and suddenly couldn't bring himself to say anything harsh. "Olivia," he said softly, "we were wrong from the very beginning. Then let's start over." Olivia suddenly pulled him into her embrace. "Ethan, give me a chance. Just one." Her embrace was warm and familiar. For a moment, Ethan felt a sense of disorientation. But soon, he pushed her away. "It's too late." Olivia froze. "What do you mean? I'm in love with someone else." "You knew that, didn't you?" Ethan said calmly. The room was terrifyingly silent. Olivia stared intently at Ethan, as if she couldn't understand what he was saying. "You're lying." Her voice trembled. "You clearly love me." Ethan shook his head. "I told you, that was just for the money." Olivia looked devastated, stumbling back a few steps and knocking over the bedside table. A liquor bottle crashed to the floor, shattering into pieces. "Olivia," Ethan knelt down, picking up the shards one by one. "We both need to move on." "No." Olivia suddenly dropped to her knees and hugged him. "Ethan, don't go. Please." Her tears fell onto his neck, scalding hot. Ethan stood frozen. This was the first time he had ever seen Olivia cry. The proud, imperious heiress was now clinging to him like a child, sobbing her heart out. "I was wrong." Olivia's voice was choked with tears. "I shouldn't have made you take the fall. I shouldn't have made you drink for him. And I especially shouldn't have saved him first in the elevator. Ethan, give me one more chance. Just one." Ethan closed his eyes and, steeling himself, pushed her away. "It's too late, Olivia." He stood up and gave her one last look. "Take care." With that, he turned and left without looking back. Olivia knelt on the floor, watching his back disappear through the doorway, and suddenly laughed. As she laughed, tears streamed down her face again. So, a heart really could ache to the point of suffocation. When Ethan Miller walked out of the Hayes mansion, night had fallen. He stood under a streetlight, watching his shadow stretch long before him. His phone suddenly vibrated. It was a message from Sophia Rossi. "Is everything handled?" Ethan replied, "Yes." "What are your plans now?" Ethan looked up at the starry sky, suddenly feeling an unprecedented sense of freedom. "Travel the world." Sophia quickly replied, "Together?" Ethan smiled. "You've been doing well lately, but you haven't earned a promotion just yet." "No problem." Sophia texted back, "I have a lifetime to pursue you." Ethan put his phone away and hailed a cab. The neon lights outside the car window blurred into a smear. He looked at the city he had lived in for 27 years and softly said goodbye. This time it was truly goodbye. End of novel.